I got mine on. How come I don't have the camera on you? Okay. All right. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I know a lot of people are probably saying, doesn't take much to tickle that old cowboy. Anyway, Valley White Home and Ranch, your local home and ranch store. Don't forget, this Saturday, they've got a great big free gardening clinic going on. It's going to be Saturday, April 26th, this weekend, starting at 2, ending at 4. It's sponsored by GardenWise. And bring all your questions in there and ask them about your gardening. And they've got all your fertilizer, your feed, your clothing, your pet supplies, tack, lawn and garden fencing, everything at Valley White Home and Ranch. I just like those people over there. We've done a lot with Steve and Mandy over there with remotes and everything. They're really good folks serving you. Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, hey, by the way, Gloria said, I'm out of here. I quit. I'm going home. I'm going on vacation. I'm going to Tahiti. She's got her tickets. Gloria at Ed's Office Products Incorporated, 1340 Overland and Burley. After 40 years, they're closing the doors. They're selling everything as 50% off, and they've got desks and a huge variety of office supplies, and make the best offer on the shelving. And April 30th is going to be the last day, and when she turns the key in the door, she says, start that jet engine up, I'm out of here. Stop over to Ed's Office Supply Products, 1340 Overland Avenue in Burley. Really nice lady. All right, give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was an article, and I want you to respond to this if you would. There was an article in the USA Today, and I believe it was in either yesterday's paper or the day before, and it was about the Bible having less influence on the younger generation, the millennials, they said. Now, I'm going to get into that in just a minute, but right now, here's a caller with a question. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning, Ted, and Mr. Valley. I heard a deal on the news last night about the CSI, about this gun control or concealed weapons permit on that area.
Uh-huh.
And they were going to consider charging the students extra tuition or whatever. And I believe, I'm thinking to myself that here we go again, hierarchy, people charging the people that don't have it, trying to learn something. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but I think they're trying to pass the cost on to the students instead of the whole faculty, because they're going to be also protected.
I really don't know.
Put that up there and let you.
Okay, well, I tell you what.
Everybody else thinks about it.
All right, so I don't know about that subject, but I tell you what, I just made some notes while you were mentioning it, and I'll do some study on that as far as concealed weapons permits and everything, and I'll check that out, and I'll have it on the program hopefully tomorrow morning. But I do thank you for your call, and I've got notes on it, and I'll see what I can find out. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. The one thing I do know...
I'll let you know.
All right, sir. The one thing I do know that I can relate to on gun control is that they ran another big story yesterday about John Paul Stevens, former Supreme Court Justice, and 6 different items that this man wants to, in his new book, change about our Constitution. And gun control is one of the main issues that he wants to try to change and make it only so that, quote-unquote, organized militias by the state have gun ownership and control, and which would possibly and very likely lead to confiscatory type problems with whether it's the United Nations, whether it's our National Guard, or whomever, literally going house to house to take our private guns. It's scary out there, folks. It really is. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk about this Bible use and millennials in just a minute. Stand by. Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie has a 20-year proven record of increasing yield and quality of all Idaho crops, speeding germination, reducing crusting, improving stand, stimulating root growth and microbial activity. And don't forget, too, it saves water. It saves irrigation water, and the water savings alone will pay for the cost of the product. Now, I'm telling you, larger crop yields, better quality. The answer's simple. Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie. Contact your fertilizer dealer and crop advisor today and demand Penetron by Maisie. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. You know, we have one dippy senator that writes a book that says that nobody should have guns except for the military or those that are uncontrolled militia. And yet you've got another dippy senator out of California that's saying that military people should not have weapons after they are no longer in the military because they're all mentally ill. True. She said that in the conference talk.
I know she did. And then also, don't forget to throw into the fray, Sharon, that we have a former New York City mayor, Bloomberg, that went into his war chest of unlimited money and is putting up $50 million to help fight the NRA and also have a confiscatory policy about guns.
Yeah. Well, and the price of weapons have gone up, the price of ammunition. In fact, the plant that used to make lead for guns and other things, airline fuel, all that kind of stuff, they are now closing their doors because EPA has required so many requirements of them, so many controls, they can't meet them. Dollar-wise, they can't meet them, let alone deadline-wise, and so they're closing the plants. So guess where we're going to have to buy our lead from? China.
Well, yeah, and you know that's not going to happen because private citizenry probably won't have anything, or even organizations connected with private citizens won't be able to do it. You know, I got to tell you that in the last couple of weeks, doing studies and surveys about gun control and talking to Joe Wolverton, a gentleman from Utah that has been at the United Nations hearings and was there when they signed that very ominous United Nations Arms Treaty Agreement with the United States, I honestly believe that Joe hit it right on the head when he said about 3 weeks ago in this program that by the latter part of this summer or right after the fall election, we are going to see a concentrated effort by this Obama administration to make all previous gun control look like it's kindergarten. It's going to get a lot worse and a lot more serious.
Oh, I agree. And part of the thing that they're doing that makes it difficult is making munitions very, very difficult to get. And so people are saying, well, gee, if I can't get any bullets, why have my gun? I might as well turn that in, too.
Well, and one of the most...
I'm saying, dang, people.
One of the most popular calibers, now correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon, but I have heard, and I've got letters, emails, a lot of response over this, that 22 longs and shorts are really hard to get. Is that true?
Almost impossible.
Really?
Yep, almost impossible.
And that is probably, now correct me again if I'm wrong, because I'm not a gun expert. I never have professed to be, but I would say that 22 is probably the most popular caliber for people to shoot.
It's very common. It's very easy. They don't have a lot of kick. You can get a 22 pistol, a 22 rifle, and they have a little bit of punch to them. I mean, if you're fairly accurate, you can take care of what needs to be taken care of. And so, yeah, they are. They're very popular, and almost everybody's got a 22.
So, quickly, I've only got about 30 seconds left here before a hard break. Your thoughts about confiscatory gun control. Do you think actually this administration will pursue it, especially with the proposed changes by John Paul Stevens and others to rewrite and amend our Constitution?
I think they're going to try it. I really do. I think we're going to see more of what we've seen in Nevada just recently.
Yes.
I think people are starting to get fed up with this crap. They're starting to say, well, whoa, wait a minute. These guys, Zeb and everybody's been telling us the truth all along. It's almost too late. But, yeah, I think that we're going to see more and more people stand up and say, not in my lifetime.
I watched, and I got to tell you this real quick. Last night I saw a member of an Oklahoma militia on television last night, and he was very well spoken. But when he was Are we still on the air? We heard a click like we had yesterday. Can you still hear me, Sharon?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Those clicks are coming back to the point where I get scared every time I hear them. But very eloquent speaker last night, and he said he thought the day was looming on the horizon where we would have to take arms against the government.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the concern that I have really quickly with the militias, I know that we've got a militia that is forming, the Lightfoot militia out of Idaho. It's been very well organized in northern Idaho, and they're trying to do recruiting here in southern Idaho. The concern that I have with joining up with the militia is not because you're going to be trained, not because you're going to be organized. That part's great. But the first place that the government's going to come to get you is those that are in part of the organized militia.
I agree with that. And, when you look at, and I don't have time right now, Sharon, but I do thank you for the call. After the break at the bottom of the hour, I'll discuss that Lightfoot militia just a little bit, because I can't find anything wrong, per se, with some of their edicts and what they stand for. Sharon, thank you so much for the call this morning.
All right.
God bless. Have a good day. I want to remind everybody about my dear friend Jim McCall. Oh, my goodness sakes, Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West 203 south of Heyburn, 438-8730, the number to call. And they deliver the goods. Now, Jim's been on the air, telling you all about filters. They've got filters for all the equipment, and believe me, you can save as much as 90% off on those filters. Holy buckets, that's almost like giving them away. And then, of course, they've got all the metric and standard bolts, all the oils, all the tools, everything. They do deliver the goods. Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West 203 south of Heyburn, 438-8730. Just wonderful people serving you. Hey, it is time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and it's brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. And, of course, whether it's gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps, whatever, it's all right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here's the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Several farmers and biotech developer Monsanto have made progress in negotiations to settle lawsuits over the unauthorized release of genetically engineered wheat last year. The parties' actions indicate there's a strong chance they will reach a settlement deal, says Nancy Welsh, a law professor at Penn State University who specializes in mediation. Last May, the USDA announced that an Oregon farmer had found wheat in his field that was genetically engineered by Monsanto to withstand glyphosate herbicides. The wheat variety was never deregulated for commercial production by USDA, which is continuing to investigate the release. Attorneys for the farmers and Monsanto put the litigation on hiatus in March and agreed to enter mediation. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brous.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
And I appreciate that. The Capital Press Ag Minute brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Gina just texted me, and she doesn't know this, but I've got a very, very special tip of the coffee cup this morning that I'm going to do right after I have this commercial. And it's in regards to a big thank you. Okay, stand by for that. Don't forget to vote for Joe Larson for Cassia County Clerk. For the last 4 years, Joe Larson has worked tirelessly, and I mean that. He's a good old boy for Cassia County as county clerk with nearly 35 years' experience as a businessman in the Mini-Cassia area. Joe is a solid advocate for the taxpayer. And I'll tell you, Joe believes local government should operate frugally and responsibly. In 2014, Joe submitted and the commissioners approved a budget that cut spending by the largest amount in recent years. Cassia County benefits from consistent and experienced leadership. On May 20th, coming up, re-elect Joe Larson for Cassia County Clerk. Gina, it's time for the tip of the coffee cup, and when people do me a nice favor, I absolutely want to give them thanks and kudos. Are you right there?
Yes, I am.
You know what we need to do? We need to find a sound effects of somebody slurping and sipping coffee like... Oh, something like that. That's a good slurp, isn't it?
You want to do that again, and I can record
Okay, let's do it. Here's the Zeb at the Ranch sip of the coffee cup. Let me know when to make my sound effects. Are you ready?
Let's see here.
No, she's checking.
I'm going to have to change one thing here for you real quick so we can actually record this.
All right, we're going to record my sip of the coffee cup. 3, 2, 1. Here it is. That is so good. That's our tip of the coffee cup. And it goes to Jerry Thaxton, our engineer over at the radio station. Jerry was above and beyond yesterday. What happened at about 10:34, I went off the air because my equipment malfunctioned and I couldn't hear the feed line from the station. If I can't hear 35 miles away, it's like being on a teepee on the top of the mountain, and you ain't going to hear what's going on down in the valley. And he was here in about 20 minutes and brought reparations to the equipment, new equipment and everything, and we're back on the air this morning. So I hope he accepts the thank you and the tip of the coffee cup this morning, Gina.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah! Thank you so much. Hey, we're going to talk about the Bible in just a minute before we go any further. I got to get that in. I told you I was going to have that story momentarily. I also want to talk to you about, holy smokes, what's going on at Berry Equipment and Rental. Now, have you driven by the location right there in Burley at 159 West Highway 30? Look at that equipment. I mean, they got the Doosan loaders and excavators. They've got all the Coyote tractors in different sizes and everything. They have got all the equipment that you need, whether you're looking to buy or rent. That's the place to go. And they've got locations on Addison Avenue in Twin Falls and South Lincoln and Jerome. And, of course, right there, like I mentioned, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. What are you waiting for? The Burley location's so easy to get in and out of. You stop over and see Nick today and the whole crew at Berry Equipment and Rental, serving you. Absolutely top-notch people. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This story that was in the paper about the Bible having less influence on millennials, I read this story in some of the letters that were sent in to USA Today. And to be quite frank with you, I'm not very much encouraged about the future of Christianity and the future of what's going to happen with these younger kids in what's called the millennial generation. And let me just throw this one story out to you, this one letter that was written by a gentleman, if you want to use the term, Edward Taylor. And just listen real closely to his words. He said, quote, "People need to believe in facts. The Bible is an interesting book, but encouraging people to study it or believe that it is factual is taking us backwards. Education, not faith, is what we need. Accepting blind faith undermines our ability to think critically." That scares me. That tells me that our society is becoming a godless society. Our society doesn't appreciate everything that our Creator has given us. And you know, when the comment was made about education, not faith, is what we need, it reminds me of Hebrews 11:1. And the passage is, faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. Maybe I should send that to Mr. Edward Taylor and others. And there was another quote in there that said, "The Bible has far too much influence. It's ridiculous that politicians are able to use an ancient text to dictate modern life." All I can say to all of that is, God help us. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, I want to remind you about Lennox Home Comfort Systems through Ramsey Heating and Electric. Yep, that's right. Gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps, all of it and more, right there at our friends where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We, just about 10 minutes ago, had Sharon Hardy Mills call in, and we were talking about that Lightfoot militia. And I want to get into a little bit more about what they stand for, etc., because it seems like the Times News and their op-ed staff, they make fun of, belittle, and bemoan possibly anybody that might be interested in belonging to a militia in the state of Idaho. And I want to just go into some of their accolades and what they stand for in just a moment. But first of all, here is a caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, not long back you had one of your people you interviewed was Klein. What was his first name? It wasn't Aaron Klein.
No, it was Joe Klein.
Do you remember?
Joe Klein.
Okay. Well, I just started reading a book by Aaron Klein, and he was talking in there about Obama and the agenda for his next 4 years. Now, the book is a couple years old, and he called Obama a highly skilled political radical, and to assume that he is inept or uninformed or whatever you might want to say to him. He says that's far from the facts. And there are certain organizations that are shaping Obama's agenda. The Unified Security Report, International Criminal Court, the Presidential Climate Action Project, and lots of others. But what he's doing with our defense and cutting the spending is exactly what he intended to do. It's amazing how he just goes forth and continues to do what he wants, and there just seems to be nothing but a feeble attempt to stop him.
Randy, the thing that bothers me the most, it's not Obamacare, it's not what he's doing or not doing on a national or world level with foreign policy. I am more concerned as to what's going to happen right now with the last-minute surge, as they said, on climate change and global warming. I think that if they implement what they want to for the absolute negativity on fossil fuels and fracking and everything else, we are going to see this nation down on its knees, absolutely lower than the third world status, to the point where you can't afford to drive to the grocery store. Nobody's going to be able to afford to have anything extra, because every dime they make, if they can afford to drive to work, is going to try to be for the comfort and security of their home. And I'm very concerned what's going to happen, because these environmentalists have got Obama right by the neck, and I think he's going to implode everything that's going to be very serious for taking away powers that we have, freedoms that we have, and I think our society is in jeopardy because of climate change.
Well, last week I paid gas. I buy a lot of gas, and I travel, have a lot of pickups, and we got running all over the valley. But I bought gas for $3.19. Yesterday I bought gas for $3.45.
Yep.
Now, I don't know what happened, and I haven't had a chance to research it, but that's a hell of a jump. And so I don't know, but I know this. You know, if you look at whether or not it's on Showtime, HBO, or the Weather Channel, they're talking about climate change and climate change and climate change, and how the poor people of Africa have nothing to do with climate change, but we are the ones who are the most egregious offenders, America.
No, we're not.
Never bring up China, India, Russia, South America. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Randy, let's stick with statistics and facts here. We actually only contribute, and it's been narrowed down even lower now because of more regulatory systems that we have. We are less than 6% contributor to the world, and on anything that could be negative. I am sick and tired of them saying climate change with 97% of the scientists. That is a blatant lie, and anybody that believes in that is not very bright. They're saying that the world is going to be underwater. Not true. They're saying that it's negative to keep the temperatures warming. That's not true either, because we have some of the best crop production in the world with the warmer temperatures. If it gets colder, Randy, you being a farmer, how in the world are we going to grow our crops?
Well, the Middle Ages were warmer than this so-called global warming is now. And if you stop and research this, the celebrities and scientists and world leaders across this world live on coastlines that will potentially be underwater. The hypocrisy is laughable, but what's more laughable is the uninformed, feeble attempt at the American people and our poor leaders to do their job.
I agree. Randy, very well stated. Thank you for your call this morning. I appreciate it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again, Zeb. I believe one of the problems are the teachers, or the professors, if you prefer.
I agree.
That run our higher education system. Most of them have never had to work. I mean, physical work. And even though you can admire them for their ability to learn, they haven't had the experience to understand that you've got to make a living, and most people do it with their hands. I'm sorry to say that, but that's a fact. And none of them have done that. So consequently, they don't understand the work of physical work. And so what they want to do is go for the money, and they've done that, and they're doing it, and they make one hell of a wage.
You know, Carl,
this is in higher education.
No, your point, I think, is an excellent point about education and professors and teachers learning the liberal left ways and standing up there and trying to get all the kids to believe that we're going to heck in a handbasket and that America's a bad country, America's a wasteful country, and all of us need to live in a cave and burn buffalo dung. I agree with you, but you know something, Carl? You're only on this earth for a short period of time. I'm only on this earth for a short period of time. I'm not destroying anything. I'm not hurting anything environmentally, but I'll guarantee you what, I want to use what God gave us to use and enjoy life and help maybe make things better for my grandsons and my family, and I'll be damned if I'm going to sit back and let some liberal destroy everything I'm working for.
Well, they've really hurt our state. We need to go in and cut the mature trees. We need to, we have a huge lead mine there. I think they shut down in northern Idaho.
Yes.
They won't let them mine for silver anymore. And gold, the only reason they let Nevada have gold is because Harry Reid is bullying his way through.
Mm-hmm.
And of the EPA. That's an open mine, so, and I don't mind them having open mines. I just am sick and tired of people saying you can't do that, you can't do that, and you can't do that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We no longer have plywood out of Idaho, and that used to be a big business.
Well, I think the thing I'd like to say this morning, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, I always do, and I think you'll agree with me. It's time to care less about what they tell us we can't do, and like I've said many times on this program, and you've heard me, step over these people, not around, and do it anyway for the benefit of mankind and our country. That's what I believe.
Well, I agree with you, and I don't believe we have to step over. We could step on.
Okay.
That's just my thought.
All right, Carl. God bless you, man. Take care. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You too.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of the very imprudent scenarios created by the liberal left, and they are not well thought out, as is most of their scenarios, and it's basic hype with absolutely no backbone, and I'm fed up with these people teaching our children that our society is bad, what we do is bad, success is bad, you can't do that, it's bad, you can't farm, it's bad, you can't do this, it's bad. Baloney! Do it anyway and enjoy life. With all the regulatory systems put in place right now, we are a safer country than ever before. But yet they want the human footprint totally eliminated, and I'm not going to stand for it. We're running late for a weather, as I always am. It's time for a weather update with Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Minor emergencies, major care. Get the words right there, Zeb. And don't forget, whether it's flu, headaches, breaks, brain strains, urinary infections, cuts, rashes, whatever, the doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. The number to call, 678-6996. Here's Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for MichaelRogersWeather.com. You're going to see some sun and clouds working your way toward a wet weekend. I mean, pretty much it'll be sunny for today, and you'll start to see the clouds start to roll in tomorrow, and then as you get to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you'll have rain in the forecast, and then you come out of it on Monday. 57 for the high today. It's going to be windy, too. Winds are going to be 20 to 30 miles an hour, and that'll continue through this evening as you work your way toward tomorrow. So far for the day, just sun and clouds, and then you start to pick up the weather action here as you work your way toward the weekend. Other than that, nice and cool up here in Alaska, and you have yourself a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael, up in Fairbanks, Alaska. MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you this hour by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I'm going to get really upset about this next story. If you don't like it, don't say it, but leave me alone because I will continue to say it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Pledge of Allegiance with the two words, under God. The atheists are crawling out from underneath their rocks, and they are demanding that under God be taken out of the pledge. They say, and I heard one this morning on television, and it just made me want to throw my Tony Lama right through the screen. They say that under God in our Pledge of Allegiance discriminates against them, and they feel ostracized. Now, I'm trying to say this with very carefully weighed words. But you know what? I don't care. I really don't care if they say they feel bullied. They feel ostracized. They feel that the pledge is not for them. They feel that the pledge is a prayer, and they just can't abide by having the words under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, so what we're going to do in our continuing effort of spitting in their face, not literally, but we're just going to make sure that tomorrow at lunch brunch, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance and come to the part that says under God, we are going to re-emphasize louder than ever before those two words, and I am going to continue to make those words stand out in the future because I will not be dictated to by any atheist anywhere. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I'm probably more inclined to add under God more times than to ever think of taking it out. And I don't care what they do to it. I won't abide by any other way of saying it. I'm going to stand by the pledge. I'm going to stand by my God. And I'm going to stand by my country. I may not respect our politicians and our leaders, but I do respect our country, and I do respect our Bible, and I do respect my God, and I do respect my pledge.
Jerry, what do you think about the stories in the news, television stories on the news, radio stories on the news, about the diminishment of Christianity? How do you feel about these people mocking and trying to throw apart any belief in God?
Well, you know, we've got programs on the History Channel, programs that, you know, it's propaganda channels, basically, that are demeaning it and, you know, putting doubts there. And, you know, I usually just go on and turn it off because I don't even really want to hear about it.
Yeah. Well,
I have one belief, that we do have a God. I believe in my God, and I stand by my God. I may not always be the most faithful person in the world to my God, but I absolutely do believe in Him, and I absolutely do believe in the Bible, and I'll stand by it.
There you go. There you go. And until the 80+% of Americans change their ways and their attitudes and their beliefs, I'm certainly not going to weaken either. Jerry, I got to run and do a commercial. Thank you very much.
You bet. Have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
He already has. Thank you, Jerry. Big spring tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family. Hello, Max, and the rest of the group over there at Paul. John on Pole Line, and Randy, the old Seahawk fan, on Overland and Burley. I mean, all the tires are on sale. And, boy, now's the time to get ready for driving. Whether it's on your car, pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever, you stop in and they can help you. And by the way, too, they've got the best in brake service and the best in shocks and struts and front end alignments and batteries. What are you waiting for?
You're off.
Tell her, don't tell me.
She knows.
I am back, I believe, and once again, we were cut off by someone that absolutely doesn't like this program or whatever. I have no idea, but I'm absolutely... My temper has gone to, on a 1 to 10 scale, a 96. Right in the middle of my spot for Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, I want to remind everybody that all the tires are on sale. Please stop in and see all the 7 locations serving you of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are serving you. Caller, I am so sorry. We had nothing to do with it, and I just can't imagine what's going on with our cutoffs on this program. You're on the air. Go ahead.
That would be you, Riley.
Talk to me. Hurry.
I can barely hear you.
Well, we're doing the best we can.
To see if you heard about Preston and their new armored personnel carrier and how some of these rural communities are getting them for their sheriff's department, their city police, and their county sheriffs. I can barely hear you, so I'll try and listen up on the radio.
All right, I apologize. Once again, I want to say that whoever is in responsibility or lack of responsibility in trying to find out, we've been cut off every single day for over a week and a half, and I know Gina at the station is checking on it, Jerry's checking on it, and I'm paying too doggone much money to have this show be cut off the air, and we'll find out somehow who, why, or what is causing the problem. I'm not aware of that, Riley, as far as any armored personnel carriers and that type of thing, but I'll check into it. I do know some of the locations you've talked to, and I'll do the checking, but I think we all should be concerned about a government that seems to be stockpiling items and different machinery that could possibly be used against its own citizens, and I'll be checking that out. Thank you very much. Coming up next hour, if whoever the gremlins are that don't decide to cut us off again, we will have Doug Johnson on the air at 9:06. And then at 9:30, we're going to talk to a lovely lady about a project with the group called IdahoGives.org. And that's going to be Charmy Laval over at Gooding. And then, of course, later on this morning, we've got former retired gunnery sergeant Jessie Jane Duff. And she's going to be talking about a very serious subject, and that's suicide in the military. So stay tuned, Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in 6. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch, and I got my temper under control, at least temporarily. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, which include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're
Thank you very much to Western Waste and the entire crew, because I'll tell you what, we're getting into the season where there's going to be picnics and family gatherings and reunions and all kinds of outdoor events. Don't forget, check out right now all the porta potties that might need to be rented for those events. And two, they've got all the dumpsters in various sizes for all the cleanup. And, of course, the Go Minis, portable storage units. Oh, those are handy. You check it out today. Give them a call at 734-6969. 734-6969. Always at your disposal. That's our friends at Western Waste. Thank you very much. You know, every morning on the program, I have to stop for a few moments, and I want to talk about some other friends of mine, and that's, of course, our dear friends Joel Heward and his family at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. You know, when there's the passing of a loved one, everything just seems to stop, and you don't know what to do, you don't know what has to be done and everything. They can help. And believe me, they travel to rural towns and churches, and they can help you with all the arrangements, and you don't have to go to them. They will come to you. That is service. Joel Heward and his family serving you at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, and of course they're there waiting for you, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines and visit with an old friend of mine that I really enjoy having on the air on Wednesdays, and that happens to be Doug Johnson. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Well, I'm doing good. I understand you're having some technical problems this morning.
You know, it started yesterday, and I'll be the first to admit that I have a German temper, and now we've got to get the carpenters to repair the holes in the wall where my fist went through. But every day, Doug, for the last week and a half, somehow we've got cut off on this program, and it just really is infuriating. You can imagine what it's like.
Oh, very much so. And I told Gina, I said, you just forget all the technical stuff. She suggested the NSA, which is probably a very good chance. I personally think gremlins, and so, you know, take it for what it's worth. But this is the nature of technology. I was on another show earlier this morning in Houston, and they were having technical issues. I think it's just the nature of technology these days.
I agree. Doug, before we do anything this morning, how's the book going, your brand new book? Time to give you a little plug. Go ahead.
Well, it's doing well, and I paused only for a second because I actually have two new books out, one for business and the one you're talking about, The Leadership Secret, so I have to get my head wrapped around it. But no, it's actually going very well. People have responded well to it, and I think it's because some people are starting to recognize that we really have a problem in the way we pick our leaders, and we need to find out what criteria to use to choose those people. And so instead of looking at something superficial, we need to dig a little deeper and start to understand people and have something to use as a measurement to determine who's really qualified to lead, whether it be in our country or in our church or in the local community. It doesn't matter where, but it's important to have some kind of criteria. So the Leadership Secret is doing well, and people are responding well to it.
I want to get into another subject matter, if I could, this morning, and that, of course, a story I heard it about 4:45 this morning, and you've heard it too. The atheists in this land are very upset at the Pledge of Allegiance with the words, under God, and they had an atheist on television this morning that sat there looking at the camera with the big swoony eyes saying, oh, it leaves me out. It leaves kind of a discrimination feeling against me and my children. Why, we feel ostracized. We feel bullied when we have to hear the pledge with the words under God, and I almost lost my breakfast.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, as you say this, and I don't know why this pops into my head, and I'm not changing the subject on you, Zeb, but I'm actually going to come to a point here in my response. This weekend, Melissa Harris Perry, the well-known liberal professor and MSNBC host, was talking about Obamacare and that Democrats should embrace it in their re-election processes, and that people who were complaining about it not being able to keep their plans should just learn to deal with it. And I guess, while I don't agree with the first part of what she said, the just learn to deal with it is kind of my attitude towards these people who come at America and our traditions like under God and the Pledge of Allegiance. Most Americans, well over 80% of Americans, prefer to have under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. I think that's good enough for me. I think we need to quit giving so much credence to these little whiners. There's so few of them. And pay attention to what the majority of the people feel.
Yeah, but Doug, wait a minute, though. We need to be cognizant. We need to be aware. We need to be looking over our shoulder at these people because, as you know, these kind of squeaky wheels have a tendency, especially in this administration, to get things changed in their favor. A lot of people laughed 10, 11 years ago on the gay rights issue for gay marriage, and they scoffawed it and said, oh, it'll never happen. And see, that's why I'm saying we always have to be looking over our shoulder.
Well, I agree, and I think ultimately they will win, and you'll see it come out of the pledge. If the pledge isn't abolished altogether, who knows, or changed, I think they will win. I think we are, and I'm not trying to be negative, I'm trying to be realistic. I think we are fighting a very uphill losing battle because I learned something this week that was very disturbing, Zeb, that plays right along this same thing. You and I believe in moral absolutes. Most of your listeners probably do too, which means there's an ultimate right and wrong. Things are right or they're wrong. There is not this idea that, well, if I get the results I want, then however I get there is okay, or what is more commonly referred to as the end justifies the means. What's amazing is recent studies have shown only 22% of Americans believe in absolutes anymore. 78% of Americans believe morals are determined by the situation. That is a very scary thing for the future of our country, and I think that kind of thing reflects upon what you're talking about as to where this country is headed and where we're going to go. So we're going to respond to these people who are the complainers and such, and we will see, unless there's a turn in the way Americans think and the way Americans determine their values, we will see a losing battle there.
You know, Doug, I think what you said was really right on the money, and what we've lost in this country is a definitive right and wrong, black and white. Now, the liberal left, they want everything with shades of gray or some other story put in there, like Common Core education. In order to get a right answer in math, they want you to come up with all kinds of other garbage connected to it, which is confusing a lot of these kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know my wife was a first-grade teacher all the years she worked, and was very talented at it. And even when she, by the time she quit teaching, which has been a decade now, she was seeing changes coming into teaching, and we've talked about how teaching has now moved to the point where children are often not graded on whether an answer is right or wrong, but whether or not they made an effort. Mm-hmm. And it's so far removed from the way you and I were raised, Zeb, because the answer was right or wrong, and if it was wrong, then you better learn to do it right. And if you want to compete, if you want to succeed in this world, you better learn to get the right answer more of the time than not. And today, we don't see that. We see this moving of the line, so to speak, and we see it in all areas of our country. This past weekend, Easter weekend, here in Colorado, was a major holiday for the marijuana smokers because I guess 4/20, the date Easter fell on, is supposed to be some special day to drug users. And the Denver paper had all sorts of articles about it. It didn't have one article about Easter. And this is where our country's moved. We have this failure of morality, this failure of right and wrong. And I think that we have to realize that this comes from the home. It's not even about the government undermining it. It's about the way we're raising our children. We need to return to the solid standards, and I know you know those standards, but I think we need to be teaching other people that this is what we need to do, is raise our children with solid standards of right and wrong.
Doug, if I were a citizen of Colorado, and more specifically a citizen and lived in the Denver area, I would be so embarrassed over these interviews that they took with some of these people in a square in Denver, and they didn't know their ankle from their elbow. They had no idea about Khmer from Sikkim. If that's the younger generation supporting and promoting the need for the use of marijuana, and I mean this in all sincerity, Lord help us.
Well, you're right, Zeb. In fact, this is where our government wants to go. Remember, we have a president who is proud of being part of the Choom Gang, which is a gang of marijuana smokers and dopers in Hawaii when he was growing up. Proud of the fact he used cocaine. He's not embarrassed. He doesn't say, "Oh, I made some mistakes. I did stupid things. I've learned from it. I don't advocate it." No, he promotes legalization of this. He has his Attorney General, Eric Holder, go out now this week saying, we need to let drug offenders out of prison to be more fair, to have more justice in our system instead of holding people accountable. What you saw in those reports is the world we're headed to if we allow this to continue. Colorado, unfortunately, happens to be at the forefront of that, but that's what we're headed to, and it's not a world that I think those of us listening to your show or you and I talking would have any recognition of or desire for, but that's where they want to head, because that kind of population they can control much easier than people like you and me.
Doug, isn't it completely ridiculous, ambiguous, and just totally stupid to think that there are laws across the country right now, and even in Denver, about anti-smoking laws? Oh, no, you can't puff on that cigarette here. Oh, no, that's wrong. Secondhand smoke might hurt somebody. But yet they will have in a downtown park a marijuana festival and everybody lights up. This is ridiculous.
Well, it is, and I have said for a long, long time, I'm not a smoker. I never have been. My father smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day for 30 years and finally quit, but I've all my life been against smoking as such, but I've also believed it's legal, so as long as you're not blowing the smoke on my face, I don't care what you do with your body. It's your choice, not mine. But I've always thought the hypocrisy of our government to say this is illegal, and yet they push for penalties on people who smoke. And they push them out into the street. They push them other places. Now in many communities you can't smoke outdoors. In fact, some places you can't even smoke in your own home anymore. And it's gotten so carried away, it's ridiculous. And of course, they've made cigarette purchasing a big tax base for the government. And if they ever succeed in abolishing smoking, then they will lose that tax base, and they're going to have to replace it from somewhere. So it goes back to this vicious cycle of hypocrisy that our government lives in, and we as voters shouldn't be putting up with it. It's if something's legal, people should be allowed to do it. If it's not legal, then we don't allow it.
Absolutely.
But we have an absolutely convoluted way of thinking in our country today.
Doug, I want to get to a subject this morning that you and I have touched on in the past, and I want to hit on it again this morning because it's becoming very prominent in the news media, newspapers, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, television, radio, etc. Former Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens, 94 years of age, is really, really pushing hard for a constitutional amendment of the Second Amendment, and basically it's a confiscatory type attitude to take guns away from all of us, and only guns could be handled by state militias. This is getting a lot of traction. How afraid are you of people like John Paul Stevens, former Mayor Bloomberg, contributing $50 million to fight the NRA? I'm really concerned as to what's happening in the remaining 2.5 years of Obama's administration.
Well, I think we should be more than concerned about, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Zeb, but I think it's bigger than just the remaining 2 years of Obama's administration. This is where our government is headed, and I don't have any proof of this, but I would wager that behind the scenes, the left has convinced retired Justice Stevens to take the lead on this because of his credentials, and start to move this forward. That's their plan. That's what they want to do. And I think that you will see, and you and I are at the older end of the spectrum than the young people out there, our kids and grandkids. I think we will see within our lifetimes this battle fought, and I think probably lost. I think that they will succeed in changing the Constitution, and I guess the other thing I would say is, and I think it'll be more than just the Second Amendment. The First Amendment will change. We will lose First Amendment rights. We already have in many ways. And I think that speaks to the urgentness of the hour in which we live.
I totally agree, but in rural areas, and you live in a rural area, you're also involved with the horses, and you like getting up in the morning and watch the sun come up over the pine trees up in the mountains. people in rural areas, people out in rural areas altogether, whether it's farming, ranching, etc., are going to be so susceptible to living in a world of fear without any protection, and we need to fight back, and now our politicians need to hear from us more so than ever.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I think that this is where it's going to come to a head, is in rural America or in Central America. On the coast, they don't understand the lifestyle in the middle of America, and they don't understand that this is just part of who Americans are. And to them, this part of the country is just backwards, and they don't even pay any attention to it. In fact, back in the 90s, all the way back in the 90s, I was doing work under contract with a bunch of groups in Washington in the government, and I was back there, and I learned at that time they classify various areas of the country in different ways. And you have metropolitan areas and suburban areas, and mind you, Denver, which is a huge city, Denver, the federal government classifies as rural. Anything smaller than Denver between the coasts is considered wilderness.
Oh, my.
So that's how much in their minds, how they think about us out here. And so we don't carry credibility, and this is why we have to carry the credibility back through our representatives and demand they make change.
You living in a state of Colorado that, and I'm certainly not trying to be derogatory of Colorado because I've got a lot of friends that live over there, and I've done a lot of business over there. But my goodness, that state has gone liberal. My goodness, that state is almost like a miniature San Francisco right in the middle of the Rockies. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. Colorado is like California. It's a beautiful state. It's, from the standpoint of weather and physical beauty, it's gorgeous. From the standpoint of politics and mindset, it's absolutely crazy, and it's gotten worse. And of course, we've talked about this before. The book people need to read, this should be required reading for every conservative, is called The Blueprint. It's a little tiny paperback you can read in 1 or 2 sittings quite easily. But it's the story of how the left planned to take over Colorado and did in the last, roughly the last decade, and how they're using it now to go and take over the rest of the country. And they're moving very successfully in areas like that are known conservative areas like Texas. They're having great success, and they're using the exact same plan to do it. And one of the keys to that plan, Zeb, and this is hard for us as conservatives, one of the keys is the Democrats, the left, they got together and they said, okay, we disagree on a lot of issues, but overall we agree in the big picture and we want to have control so we can move our agenda forward. So we're going to agree amongst ourselves not to get into these fights over these little things and just win control, and once we have control, then we'll settle our differences. Republicans don't do that. The Republicans fight about, because we range, the Republican Party is much broader in its umbrella, in its tent of who it allows in. So you have libertarians, you have conservatives, and everybody in between. Then you also have the establishment, more moderate people, and we're so busy fighting each other that we're not winning what we should win. And we need to take a lesson from the left and understand that we need to unify over the basic issues and win control, and then we can settle the issues between ourselves.
And this is a final thought here, Doug. I've only got a minute and a half left, but really, when you sit down and analyze it, what happened to America first? What happened to the morality? What happened to the value system of this country? What happened to it?
Very simply, and people don't like to hear this, but very, very simply, we abandoned God.
I agree.
It's that simple. We wear the face of saying, well, we believe in God or whatever, but we don't live it. This country, as it was founded, and as our founders, who were people of different religious views, but they respected the values and the morals established in Judeo-Christian life, and that was the foundation of our nation, and we have abandoned that. Now we look the other way for little white lies and for all sorts of things, and we classify some things as unacceptable, or a whole bunch of things as acceptable. So where it used to be when you and I were growing up, Zeb, that it was unheard of for somebody to have a child out of marriage, today a huge percentage of people do, and many people once they shouldn't be involved in relations before they're married anyway, but they are, and then somebody gets pregnant, they decide, well, we'll wait till we have the kid to get married. It's those kind of things that undermine, they eat away at the foundation of our moral system, And we've allowed that to happen and that compromise. And this is why I go back to, it's about turning back to God. If we don't fix the spiritual problem in this country, we can't fix the rest of it.
I could not have said it better. Thank you very much, author of the Horse Sense blog and excellent author of books. This is my dear friend Doug Johnson from Colorado. I wish you the very best. Enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the spring, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday, Doug.
Thanks, Zeb. I look forward to it.
God bless. Thank you so much. Dear friend Doug Johnson back in Colorado, thank you for your thoughts this morning. Hey, don't forget your life insurance. Oh, my goodness, you don't have any? Well, how about health insurance? Oh, boy. Retirement planning, employee benefits? Well, these are things that have to be taken care of. You can't just put everything on the back burner and keep saying, well, I'll take care of it next week. I'll do it next Monday. No. Do it now. Call Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424. They're located on Highway 24 in Rupert, and they're waiting right this minute to serve you. All you have to do is pick up the phone, 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. You know, yesterday on the program, we had a little break, and I talked to you about what's going on at Least Furniture, Floors, and More. And a lady called me after the show, and she said, what were you talking about that at Least Furniture, Floors, and More, I can go down there and get a complete living room set, 14 pieces, and pick out what I want, 14 pieces for $999.95? I said, yeah. That's what I said. That's what the ad is. 14 pieces for a complete living room. I mean, you're talking the couch, you're talking the end tables, you're talking the accessories, you're talking the lamps. I mean, $995.95. At Least Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. And they've got wonderful people down there, Jeff and Jason, and of course Pam, and then of course Brent and everybody else serving you. All your carpet needs, all your bedroom sets, all your mattresses, it's all there. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Don't you forget it. Once again, I want to remind you, too, about our friends with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. Yesterday also, I want to remind you that we talked about a stock dog clinic, and this is going to be up at Oakley, up at Gabby Kids. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have made the wrong name. I meant to say Randy Kid. But with that big, flourishing gray, heavy on the gray, beard, he looks just like Gabby Hayes. Oh, hey there, partner. Anyway, this is going to be really a good clinic. It's coming up this Saturday, the 26th, and Sunday. And if you'd like to go up and watch and learn from Roger Stevens from Alabama, this is a wonderful stock dog clinic. And the number to call, Gabby Randy Kid, 312-2252. I'd love to have you call him Gabby. And bring your own chair to sit on. They're going to have dinner on Saturday furnished and lunch on Sunday, so don't forget Stock Dog Clinic at Kids Aussies, 510 South Lincoln in Oakley this weekend with old Gabby. Hey, by the way, mentioning to you about having some fun, you need to get away. You got to get out of the office. You got to get off the ranch. You got to go do something that's fun. Well, stop over to Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Don't you forget they're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 9 to 6, and they've got all the ATVs. You just go in that front door and look at them from right to left, left to right, down the middle. They've got all kinds of ATVs, all the Can-Am side-by-sides, rebates and great financing. They've got all the dirt bikes, 0% financing for 5 years. Oh boy, it is where the fun is sold. And all the accessories and a great service department. What are you waiting for? Get in your old pick-em-up truck and get over there. Let's ride where the fun is sold. Let's get on the microphone right now, and we're going to talk to some really, really nice people over at Gooding, Idaho. And we have, I believe, on the phone a husband and wife dynamic duo, Lonnie and Sharmi Lavelle from Gooding, and we're going to be talking a little bit about an organization they have called IdahoGives.org. Good morning, Sharmi. Are you on the phone?
Well, good morning. I am.
Well, thanks for coming on the program this morning. And I understand Lonnie's on the other line. Good morning to you too, Lonnie. And I want to talk a little bit. It's good to have you both on the program. Thanks for taking the time. But, Sharmi, I want you to pretend I don't know anything about IdahoGives.org and tell us about it because the D-Day, May 1st, is coming up real soon. So tell us what you want everybody to be cognizant of.
Well, great, Zeb. Thank you so much. Idaho Gives is a one-day statewide online fundraising event designed to connect donors across the state with the organizations that they care most about. And so people can go to IdahoGives.org and they can type in the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame in the search field of their Idaho Gives page. And then they click on the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame, choose the amount they'd like to donate. They can become a fan and join the conversation by making a comment, and then share with their friends on Facebook and tell everyone in person about Idaho Gives Day on May 1.
All right. Now, basically, give us a summation about what about the funding itself, Sharmi? How is that money and the proceeds and the donations, how are they going to be used?
Well, all the donations on IdahoGives.Razoo.com, which is where the site is that we made, are made to the Razoo Foundation, which is a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, which permits donors to advise a regranting of their donations to the IRS 501c3 organizations, like us. And all gifts are 100% tax-deductible as allowed by law, and will be receipted for tax purposes by the Razoo Foundation. The Razoo Foundation regrants all contributions to the qualifying organizations as advised by them, and then the Razoo Foundation retains 4.9% per donation for credit card processing, website infrastructure, and customer service. An additional 2% donation is retained by the Idaho Nonprofit Center for marketing and event management expenses. And all of the people that are involved or that participate in this Idaho Gives campaign must be a nonprofit organization.
Okay. And so basically these donations help other organizations help other people. Is that correct?
Yes, they do. They help a variety of organizations, animal organizations, charitable organizations, for children, for the needy, for all kinds of different things that are in, or different organizations that are in need of money to help others.
Okay, now, what is the deadline about on May 1st? Explain that a little bit, Sharmi, would you please?
Yes, well, on May, it's just a one-day event. However, people can go to the IdahoGives.org page and go ahead and search for their favorite charities on that and start their giving now. But the big event is May 1. It lasts all day, and they do it all in 24 hours. Last year, they raised over $500,000 for the causes that people cared about the most.
Wow, that is...
So that's all they have to do is just go to that page. They'll find all kinds of media will be presenting the information on TV. You'll see flyers around town about it and so forth. It's a once-a-year opportunity. Last year was their first year. So we're just now beginning our campaign.
All right. Now, I want to get Lonnie in here a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. And Lonnie, if you would, you and your lovely wife have kind of taken over the leadership and the helm, if you will, of the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. Tell us exactly what does the Hall of Fame do, and who are some of the honorees that are in there representing the Hall of Fame?
Well, the Hall of Fame was started in 2001, and this will be our 14th year. And on Saturday in August, when Gooding has its annual pro rodeo, there's an induction of basically the old-time cowboys. and cowboys that rodeoed in the 60s and prior years. That we make generally a selection of 6 to 8 of the old-timers and induct them into the Hall of Fame. It's throughout Idaho, and it involves people in eastern Oregon and Nevada also, but primarily people that rodeoed or lived within the state of Idaho during a period of time that they rodeoed. And it's really sprouting wings, and we have 5 directors. My wife and myself are directors. Betty Hugas from Fort Hall, and then we have
Bob Craig,
and who's the other? Fourth,
and Jim Seibel.
And they're scattered out throughout the state, and we have meetings 2 or 3 times a year and try to put the program together.
Okay.
Charmy knows a little more about our steer program that we just started this year, and I'll let her explain that.
You know, Charmy, before you start, I've got a newspaper article here, and it sounds like somebody pulled a dastardly deed over in Gooding, and did you find your steers that were made, and did you get them back?
Well, it was quite a shock to us and as a community. What we have here is we started a campaign to raise money, and what it is people would pay $150 to advertise and to enter our contest for the best decorated steer.
Mm-hmm.
We had about 40 of them up and down Main Street, and we're expecting to have even more people participate. Well, Franklin Building Supply, this manager's daughter, painted this great blue steer, and somebody stole it.
No.
We had 2 more that were vandalized with graffiti, and so we're trying to catch it. Now, the police have a good lead on who was the instigator of the blue steer, but we still don't have information leading to the arrest and conviction of the persons who vandalized the other steers. So we want to catch them and stop them. It's, it's an outrage for the community, and it's just unconscionable that this community has come forward and rallied to support this wonderful cause, and then you have the spoilers of the world here that want to ruin it.
Absolutely. Now, I want to compliment you and your husband, Lonnie, and everybody involved with the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. I was very blessed and honored 2 years ago to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And you do it in conjunction with the Gooding County Fair and Rodeo. Holy smokes, has the complexion and the personality of that rodeo and fair changed. I mean, you folks are really shooting for the stars and getting them. It's fantastic. Great job over there.
Well, thank you, Zeb. Yes, and you were inducted. We're so proud to have you as an inductee. We plan on, if you've gone to our, or if the folks have gone to our page that we have on Idaho Gives, you'll see they can find out what we're all about. And now that I've got photographs of you, Zeb, we're going to get you on that page for sure as one of our multi-talented inductees. Because the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame isn't just about rodeo. It's about cowboys, and it's about family, it's about history, it's about our youth, and how rodeo actually plays a role in our communities and in our ranching life. And that's what we want to impress. It isn't about how much money people win in their rodeo or how many rodeo events they've been involved in, because much of our ranching and our farming skills that are used are also rodeo skills. Mm-hmm. So we're about mentoring our youth, and we're implementing 4 awards presently for our youth: a community service award, a scholarship award, a rodeo achievement award, and an ag achievement award. And so we want to mentor them, and we're wanting to build a our own hall now because we've got people that see that this is an important thing in our community. It's going to help grow our economy, and we've outgrown the commercial hall where we have our induction and our annual dinner and live auction to raise funds. People are wanting to donate now their memorabilia and their saddles and photographs and magazines and so forth, and we just don't have a place to house them. And so it's important that we preserve the history that of these people that have been so much a part of rodeo and the ag and farming and ranch life, and that we preserve those and keep them. And when we realized that all the photos and whatnot that we had of beginning to curl and the color on the photos is starting to deteriorate and so forth, we realized we need to do something about that and get something done.
Absolutely. Now, what about the induction ceremony this year? What are the dates? And I want to make sure that if people can attend, if there's tickets to purchase, that type of thing. Tell us about the dates of the Hall of Fame dinner this year.
Yes, the date is August 16th. It's going to be held at noon, and we'll have the live auction and to raise funds again, so where people donate different items. We've had some wonderful items donated in the past, jewelry and Pendleton blankets and handmade furniture and that kind of thing. And so the dinner will start then. We usually have a photographic event for all of the reunion cowboys that have the past inductees. And this year we have some great people that are going to be inducted. We've got Governor Butch Otter. We've got Curtis Cutler. We've got Bill Aller and his wife Mary. We have Dennis Manning and Dr. Bob Monroe. And and the Edmo brothers posthumously, which they were some of the first cowboys in the Pocatello area.
Yes.
We have quite a history behind them. So we've got some great inductees this year. And if anyone wants to be on our newsletter or receive an invitation to the event, all they have to do is give us a call or write us at P.O. Box 562, Gooding, Idaho 83330, and we'll be more than happy to send them an invitation.
Well, I tell you what, I am very, very excited about it. But once again, we're looking forward to May 1st. Last year, Idaho Gives came up with $500,000 last year, and we're asking everybody to put that down on their calendars. So I'll turn it back over to you, Charmy and Lonnie, and you can tell everybody one last time about information on Idaho Gives on May 1st. Go ahead and we'll wrap it up.
Thank you, Zeb. So just go to idahogives.org, type in the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame in the search field on that page, click on Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame, Inc., choose the amount you would like to donate, then become a fan by clicking on Become a Fan, join the conversation by making a comment at the bottom of the page, share with your friends on Facebook, and tell everyone in person about Idaho Gives Day on May 1, and be sure you look at the wonderful photographs that we've got on that page that tells about the history of the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame and our reunion and find out all about us. So be sure and do that. We would just love to hear from you and love for you to come.
All right. I want to say thank you to two.
We sure appreciate it.
Well, you know, you folks have done so much.
You've done a wonderful job, and we just appreciate you so much.
Well, you're very, very welcome, and anything and everything that we can do to help promote not only Idaho Gives, but also coming up in the summer for the next Hall of Fame inductions, we'll be more than happy to. But kudos to you and your board of directors for taking the time and effort to honor these wonderful people that deserve the honoring. And thank you very much for being on my program and coming back again and do it again. Would you please?
We will, Zeb. Thank you for having us, and thank you for asking us back.
All right. Thank you very much. Really great husband and wife duo, Lonnie and Charmy Lavelle from Over to Gooding, and they're doing all they can to promote and help establish a bigger and better Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. And also, don't forget, on May 1st, go to the website and Idaho Gives. And outstanding. Last year, they raised over $500,000 for various groups all over the state. It is time for the weather forecast, and this hour the weather's brought to you by Red's Trading Post. All your guns, ammo, and accessories right there at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. And don't forget, purchase a firearm from Red's Trading Post and you receive training bucks for both LMS Defense and Shaw Shooting to use in their rifle and pistol training courses. You betcha. Ryan and the rest of the crew at Red's Trading Post serving you. Here is Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for MichaelRogersWeather.com. You're going to see some sun and clouds working your way toward a wet weekend. Pretty much it'll be sunny for today. And you'll start to see the clouds start to roll in tomorrow. And then as you get to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you'll have rain in the forecast, and then you come out of it on Monday. 57 for the high today. It's going to be windy, too. Winds are going to be 20 to 30 miles an hour, and that'll continue through this evening as you work your way toward tomorrow. So far for the day, just sun and clouds, and then you start to pick up the weather action here as you work your way toward the weekend. But other than that, it's nice and cool up here in Alaska, and you have yourself a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls, 733-3546. Gina, are you right there by your microphone this morning? We will take the call, and then I want to visit with you for just a second. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I was on the phone trying to talk to you when you got cut off the air. It was a little confusing, but boy, that is frustrating, I can see. But my comment is your friend Doug there, I mean, he really hit the nail on the head when you say that there's only 22% of the country only believes in moral absolutes anymore. Boy, that tells you how far we've gone down the tubes. You know, it's just, that's what they call situation ethics. And that was being taught for years and years and years. But at the top of last hour, I believe they said that 1 billion hits on YouTube. And you see some of these comedy things and different things going on, and you see several million hits. We got people that are just totally out of the loop as far as what's really going on in this country. And I don't know, I mean, a lot of the conservative people are trying to use YouTube to inform some of these less informed on our Constitution and our Christian heritage and so forth, but it's a real problem, and I think your guest really hit the nail on the head. He certainly did a wonderful job.
All right. Well, Adrian, very nice of you to call. Thank you. Drive safely. I can tell that you're behind the wheel, so take care, my friend. Thanks for your call.
Hey, thanks a lot. You bet.
Thank
care.
you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you very much. And we'll get Gina on the phone here with us in just a minute. I want to talk to her. But before I do that, I want to remind you, too, that if you got a cut or a break or a sprain or something else, or you're just not feeling very good, well, then you be sure and call or stop into Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley. Minor emergencies, major care. That's right. They're located right over by Walmart and McDonald's. You can't miss it. The number to call, 678-6996. And believe me, they accept most major insurances and those without insurance, too. And their three main goals are to get you feeling better, save you time, save you money. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center. Really nice people. 382 North Overland in Burley. If you need help and you need to take care of something, you give them a call or stop in. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center. Gina, are you right there by the telephone?
No, I ran away.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I'll call somebody else.
Okay.
You went to college, did you not?
Yes, bachelor's and master's.
I see. In communications, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then we both are on the same track. I have my degree in communications. And did you feel that people of different races, be they black or be they Hispanic or whatever, that they should get a leg up ahead of you just because of the color of their skin?
No.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit, or do you want to leave me hanging there with just a no?
Well, here's the deal. if you want to excel, you have to do it through your academic prowess and your desire and drive to succeed. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. So do I think that the color of skin should play a factor in somebody having a leg up over me? Absolutely not.
Well, are you aware of what's going on in Michigan with the Supreme Court? The United States Supreme Court made a decision yesterday, and they're upholding the Michigan's ban on racial preference in college admissions, and there are people that are outraged this morning. There are whites, there are blacks, there are lawyers, everybody's outraged, and I do not understand all the hubbub because I absolutely think that your grades and circumstances should absolutely have precedence over whether you attend a college of your choice or not.
Well, I think that, if Michigan is upholding their standard of academic excellence and not the color of your skin, then amen and kudos to them, because honestly, the color of your skin has nothing to do with what the smarts that you have upstairs. And honestly, the color of somebody's skin should not put them in front of the line ahead of me, even though I have more education and experience. Well, your education and experience have to speak louder than, I'm sorry, the color of somebody's skin. I think that is wrong.
Well, and I've said for a long time, and I think we've talked about this before on the program, that if we're at a point in education where just somebody's skin color and texture is going to take precedence over you, let's assume that you're a 3.8 to 4-point student leaving high school, and somebody, because of just race, bumps you out of that chance to go to college, there is something absolutely negative wrong with that situation.
Okay, let's fast forward to, say, maybe 15 years from now when my son is getting ready to go to college, assuming that he is going to. He's going to be a tall, white male.
Yeah.
He's not going to get anything.
Yeah.
And he could be a 4.0 student, and he's not going to get anything because he's a white.
We have let, and I think you'll agree with this caller, I'll be right there, stand by, but we have let race and color be the judge, jury, and executioner with racial overtones if somebody doesn't get their way or get a certain appointment.
Well, and here's the one thing that baffles me. We are supposed to be a country that is not racist and doesn't look at that, doesn't look at the color of the skin. That's the type of country that we say that we are, but actually when you look underneath all of that, race so plays a factor in where you're going to go in your life and what you're going to do, and I think that it is wrong. And so I honestly feel for my son, because when 15 years down the road, if we are still in this situation, my son, pardon the expression, is going to be toast. This is not really what I wanted to say, but really he's going to be toast because he is going to be a smart white male that will have no opportunity in life because he's not Hispanic, he's not black or Asian or whatever kind of ethnicity. And so he's automatically going to be discriminated against. So what I think is what we're seeing is reverse racism.
I agree. Totally agree. And basically, in simpler terms, will be the low man on the totem pole. There you go. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb. Say, this is Ray Bagby, and I want to come to your lunch bunch tomorrow so that I can give the pledge with you, because what you said earlier kind of made me hot.
And what did I say that made you upset? I apologize if I make you mad.
No, it's what was said about this under God. I'm going to bail her out under God. I can't believe these atheists. I don't care if you're a believer or not. I'm not. They don't care, but to keep their business out of my business.
Well, when you're talking about percentages, Ray, and I really do appreciate your phone call and your thoughts, but when you talk about percentages, and still in this country, even though we're not showing it, we're not standing up for our thoughts, 80+% of America still believes in God, still believes in having the pledge say under God, still believes in the Bible, etc. But the problem is we're not standing up for it, and that's why these squeaky wheels, the liberals and these atheists are having so much of their way in the news media, and it's about time that we fought back.
Yeah, and I think what you said for tomorrow at your lunch bunch is a dang good start.
We will do it, and please sit next to me, and when it comes to that point, we will say it with a great big vocal enthusiasm.
There it is, and I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Ray. Thank you much. God bless. Have a good day.
Ben, thank you.
Gina, you know, that's worth commenting on a little bit with you, too, because I am going to be extremely vocal, and I know that if you do the pledge for us some morning, I'm going to ask you to be, if you want to, more vocal about the under God part, because I guess what I'm going to do, whether they like it or not, is just really highlight those two words, and they can tune out or they can stay tuned in.
Exactly. You know, I think that under God is so important because that is kind of the basis that our forefathers, you know, had in mind when they, you know, wrote the Constitution. So we need to stay firm in our beliefs.
You know, as you know, by working on this program, I have a tendency when somebody says you can't do this anymore, I have a tendency to say, oh, really? And I'm cleaning up my verbiage a little bit, and absolutely say, okay, I'm going to spit in your eye and I'm going to do it anyway, because I think that's what America was like, founded on, etc., with our forefathers. And, you know, I said in my cow pies and coffee cups, and I'm going to stand behind this, I think that our forefathers had a chip on their shoulder, and a good chip on their shoulder, to leave the East Coast and spread westward and create the greatest country ever known to mankind. And I'm going to continue on with that chip on my shoulder.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think that, honestly, if the forefathers were alive today, they'd be astounded at what our country has become.
Oh, boy, they'd turn over in their grave.
Oh, they've flipped over about a bazillion times by now.
There you go. There you go. Okay, kid, thank you. And now I'll give a little excerpt as to what's coming up next hour. I'm really looking forward to having this young lady on the phone, Jessie Jane Duff, retired gunnery sergeant, and she's going to be talking about a very serious subject next hour, and that's the military returning home and the high rate of suicides. And then at 10:30, we've got Speaker of the House Scott Bedke coming on talking about possibly incorporating and taking back federal lands under the state management. We'll talk about that at 10:30. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll see you in 6.